Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you also for the panel members. So we're gonna start with like a general presentation on what is every one company doing on the Web 3.0 space. We have, well, the biggest exchanges here in the room, so that's quite a unique opportunity. And also, well, I would like to know a little bit more. And also we have Venly, which is very in-depth in the tech space and building up. So that's gonna be a nice conversation for sure. So yeah, if you can just quickly say, what are you guys working on right now on the Web 3.0? Both sides, you know, if it is either DeFi or you have some CX, you know, offering on that front, that would be great. So maybe we can just start in order.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. So my name is Roy. I work for Binance, as the t-shirt says. And we do a lot of things in the crypto and blockchain ecosystem, right? So Binance's main product is being an exchange. The exchange itself has the most users and the most usage and a huge trading volume, basically. But outside of that, we have a whole ecosystem, like a website called MarketCap, Trust Wallet, and we are also investing with our incubator arm called Binance Labs in a lot of projects. Mainly Metaverse and Web3 are the hot subjects. So that's, in a nutshell, what we do, basically.
I'm Tim Dierckxsens, co-founder and CEO of Venly, blockchain technology provider, so a little bit different than Binance, Crypto.com, and Bitpanda. What we focus on a little bit more is the go-to-market strategy within gaming and in e-commerce. So less on the fintech side and less on traditional, I would say, crypto assets. And yeah, we also partner with different blockchain networks, such as Binance Smart Chain, and we're actually part of the most valuable builder program 3. So one of the early adopters in that case.
Hey everyone, great to be here today. So Annie Mosson, I work at Bitpanda. There's two core businesses at Bitpanda. So there is the retail business, which has been around for 8 years now, very European focused. And then there is the institutional business, the one that I head up sales for, which is really in the exchange space, a spot exchange. Two core areas where we're focusing on Web3 at the moment. On the broker side of the platform for our retail clients, we offer access to Web3 tokens, and you know, to support the liquidity in those tokens, we offer, you know, cashback incentives in our own native token as well. So we think that's really important to get these projects off the ground. Then in the institutional space, we recently acquired a custody business called Trustology. They have a market-leading DeFi setup, MetaMask integration, which allows interaction with about 17,000 dApps, and obviously then provides a bridge into the full DeFi ecosystem. So although I work for the institutional exchange, and there's not necessarily too many projects in the Web3 area going on there, there's plenty going on at Bitpanda.
Great, thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Sebastian Gawenda, very nice to be here. I also moonlight as a stand-up comic, so you're all in for a treat tonight. Maybe after the panel, not so much now. I lead up the exchange business for Crypto.com, so we likewise have a very robust business. We have credit cards, as hopefully some people have heard of or seen, an NFT marketplace, a DeFi wallet, a blockchain that we sponsor and help to go ahead do many things with. On the venture side, we have a venture arm too with 500 million allocated to support DeFi, GameFi, NFT, and etc. And we're really looking to go ahead and help grow the community with all the offers that we have there.
Thank you, everyone. So going a little bit more into the topic of today, so where we can talk about efficiency of the, you know, of the market, secondary, primary market, and especially for those who are working in the centralized exchange. Yeah, that's primary. But the question is, when we talk about 3.0, and then when we talk about decentralization, there is kind of like, yeah, something a bit strange to hear that centralized exchanges are working into this, because as we can imagine, eventually the object objective of decentralization is that, yeah, everyone's going to have, their own wallet, DeFi, and then they can interact in different ways with the space, and they may not need any more centralized players. So how do you guys see that reconciliation of the evolution of that path from the point of view, perhaps, in this case, mainly for, centralized exchanges, on how do you see, how do you remarriage these two topics?
Yes, this is a really interesting subject to immediately point out. So we think that both DeFi, so DEX and SEX, for instance, can both coexist. So I think that both a centralized and a decentralized exchange or project can have advantages over the other. And at Binance, we try to promote both things, actually. So we recently rebranded the Binance Smart Chain to the BNB chain, just to state that the BNB chain isn't owned by Binance itself. It's a fully decentralized blockchain as well. Apart from that, we have a centralized NFT marketplace, for instance, the Binance Marketplace, and we have a decentralized one. It's called Gather.io. So we try to promote both sides, actually.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think coexist is exactly the word that I was going to look for there. So I don't think that decentralized and centralized are mutually exclusive. I think coming from a centralized exchange, I would argue that we're able to provide a certain level of certainty and security to clients because of the highly regulated environment that we work in. I understand absolutely that is almost the antithesis of where blockchain really came from. But as we're in this growth stage of the technology, I think that having that regulated focus, that level of certainty, provides a lot of comfort to especially new entrants into the market.
Sure. Thank you. I guess I would say that to me it really stems from or looks like choice. I mean, at the end of the day, I think everyone likes a different flavor of ice cream, and sometimes you want Rocky Road because it hits the sort of cookie crunch that you want or something, and sometimes you don't. And sort of what I mean by that is there are benefits to centralized exchanges and there are benefits to decentralized. So it's not that they have to be exclusive and you can't use one and at the same time the other. So I think it just comes down to giving the consumer choice and what are they trying to achieve. So maybe if you're handling larger transactions, larger amounts, we were talking before the panel about how great it is to be able to use a centralized exchange when it comes to maybe using that for the function of a bridge. Versus where if you were to go ahead and be someone that's not particularly familiar with the space and you want to go ahead and use DeFi for that, it would be a much more complicated sort of experience. So what do you get out of utilizing a centralized exchange at first? You have the knowledge, the capability, you become comfortable and you can use it. And then if there's a big benefit, and of course there are benefits to DeFi, but you can then go ahead and be able to use them on your own to go ahead and achieve what you're looking for with more comfort, with more certainty, and probably with more robust features in certain cases that it may take a little while on a centralized exchange to develop.
Yeah, indeed. Just to add something, I think we see that, at least from the side of the custodian, what we see is like we work with institutional clients, so it's very specific, but what we see in the market is either you have one extreme, which is like the DeFi natives, maybe in the middle, but then you have the extreme would be like someone that starts in the crypto ecosystem and will feel very jittery by using DeFi at once. And then on the other side, on the other extreme, where we are used to deal with them is the institutional clients that they cannot just use a MetaMask, wallet and then just be on the space without any type of governance layer. Maybe Tim, give us a bit more of how you see it from the not being directly in the market, but more like developing the products.
Exactly. I think the difference there could also be, we're talking about centralized exchange and decentralized exchange, but we're talking about the utility of a token that you use. So if you look at Sandbox is a big game client, the token is available on centralized and decentralized exchanges. But if you want to use your token to purchase their own digital assets to support the game economy, well, then you need a decentralized wallet because you're not going to be able to connect that to a centralized wallet. I do think that Coinbase wallet is now integrated within the Sandbox, and I believe maybe other centralized exchanges will also offer a wallet infrastructure so that they can also tap into these applications. but that's only for one of the biggest clients. If you want to support the entire ecosystem, then you would need to also support a decentralized wallet, and therefore you can look at the utility behind that coin rather than the trading aspect of speculating whether it will go up or down.
I know that Binance has, well, as you mentioned before, Binance Smart Chain or BNB chain now, and also we have Crypto.com DeFi wallet. Maybe does it Bitpanda see this as something to follow through, or you have a different perspective on there?
No, one of the reasons that we decided to acquire Trustology was because of the DeFi capabilities that they provide. So we had overwhelming feedback from our institutional client base, looking to get into the DeFi space and being able to have a wallet solution which enables, to leap from a centralized to decentralized. Whilst it's not a unique proposition right now, it's something that institutional clients are wanting. And obviously we can all recognize that, it's important to build.
Do you think retail clients are asking for it too, or?
Well, I don't speak to the retail clients as much. I'm very much an institutional guy. But one thing that it tells me from however many years of markets experience is that where the institutional guys go first, then retail follows quickly.
Thank you. Maybe Sebastian, you just already advanced a little bit on the topic, but yeah, the next question will be around something that we are quite aware that is happening a lot, when you are interacting with the smart contract, especially when we talk about decentralized exchanges. One of the missing Legos will be on bridges, interoperability between different platforms and protocols. So when you are, you want to be efficient, you need to have liquidity in different protocols at the same time. Many exploits have happened in different bridges, and what would be your take as an exchange on that role? I think the market could probably become more efficient if some centralized exchanges will take that role for the time being until we find a way to have kind of unbreachable smart contracts, or we get a little bit more savvy on that space, because as we all know, we are still on the discovery and testing phase. So I don't know who would like to take that one first.
So I think we can draw some lessons here from the Tradify world. So if you look at what really drove the efficiency and explosion of trading volume in the secondary markets is standardization. So if you look at things like the FIX protocol in the early days of FIX, that was enabled to provide a product definition standard that enabled much higher volume to be traded on platforms, on exchanges, regardless of what the asset class was. I think there's a similar analogy here that centralized exchanges can provide that level of standardization as a bridge and really provide that service.
Let me first apologize for getting too excited and stealing your thunder on jumping on that topic here. But yeah, I think certainly one of those is definitely standardization with FIX. You could get me talking on that for a while. I'm a big fan, but that's probably because I used to be a market maker, so it makes me excited thinking about all the trading opportunities and being able to connect to exchanges and the real value add that you have from being able to face different types of liquidity and different types of flow from different exchanges, which is still prevalent here because they're not interconnected yet as they would be. That's getting on a tangent, so I'm going to come back to your topic and to the point, speaking about how that works in between the exchanges. That ability to go ahead and be able to have the benefits of the product and being able to go through on the code. I was going to go ahead and make a bit of a joke here about the fact that especially with smart contracts. Especially when I was younger, I'd get frustrated with the computer and say, what a stupid computer. It's not doing what I wanted to do. And I think there's a big parallel with the smart contracts too, right? I mean, the smart contracts are designed for the pros and the cons to do exactly what they're written to do. So we have to be careful effectively when using them because of the fact that they're doing exactly what they're designed to do. So there aren't the barriers or there aren't the sort of bumper guard off, and you just have to do your best to balance that in terms of what you're trying to achieve.
I'd also argue that it hasn't been so long ago that many of the centralized exchanges were experiencing a lot of hacks. Maybe here you're talking with the Premier League of the exchanges, but I think I have 3 or 4 exchange accounts that were hacked in the past and where I also lost my funding. So the exploits in DeFi protocols happen, but they also happen in centralized exchanges.
Yeah, probably we have smartened up on the custody side, and that's what avoiding those issues. And then probably the natural evolution should be DeFi contracts to be a bit more robust. Some of us come from traditional finance space, and coming just another layer of this question would be what are the pros and the cons of having this information, as you rightly said, on chain, and especially on public blockchains. So yeah, how do you remarriage that part as a centralized exchange? When you take over certain tasks that maybe the DeFi ecosystem will take naturally, but you put it on your own balance sheet, and then you're taking over that role, and then you take this information out of the rest of the space. Do you think that could be one of the solutions in the meantime, especially for like highly risky type of DeFi contracts?
So I would say that one of our core values or our vision is to spread the freedom of money. So we want to give everyone the access to blockchain technology, including DeFi as well. But we want to make sure that we stick to our values, which is protecting the users and the end users. Especially looking at all the new entrants, most of the people join during a bull run, prices go up, and all they know is, oh, the price goes up, so we jump in on the hype without really looking into the risks. Therefore, I think that the centralized exchange need to be taking responsibility over the newcomers in the space as well to guide them through it. Several things that you can do here is, one is we have a SAFU fund, as it's called. So if a user is being exploited not by their own fault, Binance will reimburse them basically for the losses that they have made. The second thing is the educational part. So we have, for instance, Binance Academy with more than 800 articles explaining new entrants how to use crypto, but including DeFi, bridges, swaps, etc. So we want to really educate the users, and on top of that, we want to use education systems already to integrate blockchain technology in schools as well, to have a broader understanding and then create a better space, including the DeFi one.
On top of that, we also see more and more security coming into DeFi protocols. If you look at Aave, and I believe it's Compound, both of them, they come with insurance that you can get as a B2B company to offer that to customers as well. So that is also a big evolution forward. And yeah, what Roy here was saying, education is key for that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I think there have been a lot of companies tagging on the on-chain and also the analysis of smart contracts audit, but still, I mean, we keep seeing it, as you guys say very wisely. I mean, I think there is a big incentive for those, black hat hackers or white hat. Doesn't matter. They are very in the looking for exploits. I think that's something that maybe the CX will actually kind of avoid. Then, I mean, I'm just in case I'm just reading through the questions, not that I'm checking my Tinder profile or anything like that. But what would be your take on the pegging of the now going maybe more into the NFT market? So you guys touch the part of the bear market, so we see now a little bit of the pegging of the actually the DeFi ecosystem from the NFT. So we have kind of like two branches right now. Now one thing is the art collectibles and maybe fan tokens, and from teams that we know. It doesn't matter what part of the market we are. There's still some interest, and then on the other side. The actually what is DeFi, and when we talk about, like, for example, protocols like Aave and so on. So how do you see this moving forward? I mean, especially for these centralized exchanges, I mean, your role on maybe custodian or commercializing, NFT tokens and so on, or art is not that straightforward. How do you guys see in general, also coming from your side, especially on the developing side, how do you see this depegging? Is it something that is gonna keep going forward? It doesn't matter where the market is, or what is your take on that?
I do believe it's going to keep going forward. The difference is right now it's more in the build ecosystem. More of the game studios and e-commerce platforms and brands are going to continue to build around creating their digital assets and their use case around it. When we talk to game studios, it's not their ambition to say, well, I want to create an in-game token so that I can tokenize that so that it can be on a centralized exchange. Their main mindset is, I want to create a game economy so that my players, they can get ownership of the token, whether it's a fungible or a non-fungible token. And the more that they spend within the ecosystem, their time, their passion, their skill, the more that they can also be rewarded. And that's the difference between a traditional game and a Web3 game. A traditional game actually always says, I, as a game studio, want to sell my assets to the gamer. The gamer is not allowed to actually own the asset, even though that they buy it, and they're definitely not allowed to trade it to a peer. Well, in a Web3 game, the thesis is I want to reward the contributions of all gamers because they're an active participant within this ecosystem, so they're a valuable stakeholder.
Yeah, like a straightforward incentive to keep the people around. I want to come back to that team after.
I think the depegging that you mentioned is just a natural byproduct of the forest fire in a way that's happened in the last 7 weeks in the secondary markets. You know, when everyone's speculating when we're in a massive bull run, accelerated bull run, then you know there's no uncovering of the lack of value in, say, meme tokens and so on. But right now, when you're standing on the precipice or right in a bear market, you know, people look for value. So that's where, you know, value NFTs, real life applications of gaming tokens hold true. They hold their value. And then, you know, obviously as people are not speculating in the secondary market, that's why you see the devaluation of a lot of those products. I think there will be a stronger correlation in the next bull market, and that's just a natural evolution of the market cycle.
Yeah, to add to that, I think, you know, when we have these cycles and there's a lot of attention onto one sort of thing, I think it's not just investors, builders, everyone sort of can get caught up in tunnel vision and sort of focus on one thing instead of everything else that's possible. So for me, sort of, it's almost great to have a little bit of a cool-off period so that we can kind of get back to building, catch our breaths. I think everyone on the panel is appreciative of sort of things calming down just to be able to sleep a little bit at night. But it's really helpful then to be able to go ahead and focus on what are the other opportunities and things that are possible. So from the topic and the point mentioned about evolution, certainly with you know how we use NFTs now, I think we're just at the very precipice. We're at the very beginning in terms of all the function that's available, and we're able to go ahead and explore more of that now that we have a little bit of that cooling off period. So what is that going to go ahead and look like into, especially when we were talking about, you know, game studios and et cetera? They're not focused on being listed on an exchange. They want to add value, a more immersive experience to the user, and how can that be, you know, as a tool to build a community that's much more enjoyable than the game can potentially be used now. And, you know, for all of us, I think that's the part that's really exciting, or at least it is for me being on the inside and seeing that development and sort of seeing how far along we're coming and what's about to be next, sort of for everyone to enjoy.
Thank you. And again, you kind of touched the next branch.
I'm a wild card on stage, so you better think about
great,
that next time. Yeah.
And actually, yeah, coming back to you, Tim, on the, you know, you mentioned gaming studios. You were mentioning about, you know, gamification, how you keep the loyalty of the gamers. I mean, we cannot think of something like, for example, what would happen if GTA Online will have a currency that can be traded, you know, in a whatever, you know, DeFi or centralized exchanges. What would be if you can, you know, all those hundreds of hours that some people have invested into that game then be tradable on either primary or secondary market? So why do you think, like, I'm sure that Binance or, you know, Bitpanda, Crypto.com, they have thought about how to take, for example, I don't know, Take-Two, I think this is one of the biggest developers. What is missing there to bring them into the ecosystem? Why do you think they have been a little bit reluctant to come? And you see this conversation in Discord, even when you go, you know, to some more traditional, either art or even gaming, they are a bit reluctant and even aggressive towards crypto?
We actually see that brands, whether it's for music or sports, when it comes down to the concept of licensing, they're quite advanced in adopting it. If you're talking about the AAA game studios that have cracked the code as in how they make money, they're going to be very reluctant because they're making billions of dollars already. So you have to look at the market of game developers, and if you then see that 99% of the game developers actually fail their monetization strategy, whether they're building a free-to-play game, well, for them, moving to Web3 is going to be a far easier sell than the AAA game studios that are making a lot of money already.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and it's of course a quite scary to jump into this space, right? If a big company goes into this with the gaming, like GTA 6 that you mentioned, there's no way back. You launch the token, and it's you cannot go back after that. So you have to make a really thorough decision on it. I think it's a little bit the same as traditional finance companies looking at banks, right? Every bank is looking into the blockchain space and see what they can do there and how blockchain technology can add value to their own business. But publicly, they won't really state much about it. So for instance, 2 weeks ago, I was at Money 2020, and less than 1 out of 10 companies there had anything official to do with blockchain technology. Just a few players in the blockchain space that were there. But however, 50% of the talks, to my perception, had some relation to blockchain technology, NFTs, and metaverse as well. So everyone is discussing this, researching this, but it takes a lot of time and also guts to jump into this new space.
Yeah, you want to say something, Sebastian?
Or I guess the only thing, the comment I was going to make is to Tim's point and to Roy too, is the implications of moving in there, right? I think, gaming and music are such passionate communities that if you go ahead and provide a tool that allows for easier, better interoperability, realistically, I think everyone expects that to catch on wildfire. And what are the implications that sort of haven't been thought about? Or maybe, the interconnectivity, the bridging, everything else surrounding it, is it all ready to continue or to handle that? And, it's a lot to think about, and it's probably just not a decision that anyone wants to go ahead and rush into and take lightly, because, scaling it back and going in the opposite direction is not something that's normally going to be perceived very well or done very easily.
Yeah, I think I would second or third that probably. I don't think there's anything nefarious necessarily with the gaming community or the well-established players not getting into this space in any more detail. I think it's a bit about fear. We've all lived through what happened with the democratization of the music industry and how that blew apart the existing commercial models that record companies made billions and billions of dollars out of over a many number of years. And I think any gaming company who's going to be the first mover there, or I know there's plenty of people who already moved in it, but the first Series A player who's going to be the first mover is a big step to take.
Yeah, because actually we have now a lot of gaming companies doing something on the ecosystem, but actually they are like kind of crypto native. So, but trying to gain players, which is a bit hard. And then maybe I think we have now like around maybe 10 minutes. So would be good to maybe I will keep the mic because actually it's for you. So actually Andy comes from a big bank and just left like 7 weeks ago. We were talking about that before the panel. So it's quite interesting because you kind of call the top. And I can imagine...
I'm definitely a top signal.
Exactly. So I think it can get a bit scary for we've been talking about like so many companies, among those, some of you guys, which had to either freeze or start laying off some people. So what is for you the focus on Web3 and how to make it more efficient? Is there something that you're looking for during the bear market that you think we're gonna build in the next, whatever it takes, 2 or 3 years, hopefully less, but to be honest, we are in the first bear market in crypto where the macro is actually bear and very quite scary compared to after the 2008 crisis. Now, is there anything that you guys think we're gonna keep the focus on?
I think if you think about Web3 and the bear market that we're in, I think there are a few things to call out. So One is the whole breaking down of the social contract. So that's been building for many number of years, and hence why blockchain really and all the associated projects started to really gain traction out of the last financial crisis. I think that the bull market, the crash, a lot of people lost their shirt. I think it's probably caused a lot of people to exit the crypto market on the retail side. But I do also think that the knock-on effect in the broader macroeconomy will mean that, again, that social contract will really come under pressure. And I think it will make the general populace a lot more focused on, okay, how do I depeg my life from central governments? How do I protect myself from the next bear market? How do I invest in my future right now? And I think that then feeds into, crypto's now at a point of maturity where it is much more accessible to the general public to step into. I think you'll see a ton of new projects, be invested in by, even general retail all the way up through VC. And I think that what we'll really see is, a clear out of all the projects that just were really going to drive no value into the market whatsoever, and you'll see an emergence of things that people really value.
Yes, and to add on this, as we perceive it within Binance, the bear market is always sort of a filter as well to see which projects or tokens or businesses have a sustainable business model and which do not have this actually. So during a bull market, everything goes up, and it's quite hard to filter out the qualitative projects from the projects that just rise with the price because everyone is speculatively investing in it. So I think that the bear market, first of all, filters out a lot of unsustainable business models. And second of all, it grants the people the chance and the time to really start building again, building products that people use with actual utility. So for instance, I joined Binance a little over a year ago when we had 2,500 employees. Currently, we have a little over 5,000 employees, and we have 2,000 job positions available at this very moment. So I was quite surprised to see these big companies, even exchanges, that were slowing down on hiring or even letting people go. I mean, first of all, they were there in the bull run, right? If you have a sustainable business model, you know how to capitalize on the huge profits and the prices that went sky high. Second is, everyone is trying to build a real business and utility. So how come that you now, with a lower price, need less resources when you continue growing and the industry now is bigger than ever, just not the market cap that represents it?
I will add that, yeah, the last bull run, like I seen so many people coming from very high talented senior people just taking the leap, and I don't think it was just because of money or bonuses or shares or grow shares. I think maybe similar to your case is this conviction on how we're gonna change the system, no?
Absolutely, I'll agree with that, and we're doubling down at Bitpanda as well, especially on the institutional side. I think if you think about the positive feedback loop between institutional investors and retail market, I think in the bear market, to your point, this is when the innovation actually happens. So we're building our futures product, we're building our options product, really trying to drive the institutional adoption of crypto. At the same time as working with regulators, working with asset managers, working with banks to get them thinking about how they leg into trading. And once we begin the upcycle again and the institutional money has piled in at a price point that makes sense for them, then that then filters back down into the retail market. Products appear with asset managers. People can invest through their pension portfolios, and that just drives broader adoption as well. At some point we'll find ourselves, our parents even investing in crypto in pension products, and I think then mass adoption has really happened.
Yeah, I can add to that. I mean, I think being so close, like I mentioned before, to the inside of it, we kind of lose perspective maybe sometimes in terms of the fear that the broader community may feel when they see price movements. For us, or at least for me, right, price is like great, and then I can fantasize about what sort of a yacht vacation maybe 100 years down the line I'll be able to afford. Jokes aside, but I mean, in the reality of it, when you're on the inside and then you have the conversations with institutions, what have you, etc., to see about what they're building, it gives you all the conviction that you need to know internally about what's really coming for the space. So I think, for me especially, is similar to the points about, the products being built for institutions. It's the same thing we're doing at Crypto.com, is focusing on being able to go ahead and build the products that institutions and higher level businesses want, and not just what us as individuals, as retail clients, we would like. So for me, while it is a downturn, it is, like I said, a nice time to be able to catch your breath. But then you can go ahead and get back and focus on building product and executing, being able to go ahead and solve some of those issues that you have while you bridge traditional finance with crypto, and focus on getting that out of the way without the distractions of all your friends sending you, whatever it may be, and the ridiculous purchases that they've made based on some profits that they've accumulated, which is nice to chat about and etc. too, right? But it's not the everyday.
It's like the meme, inflation is sky high, and then let's put our money on Luna, and then make it minus 90%. So it's a good way to hedge. No, I think to add, just to finalize, I think, yeah, Web 3.0 is actually about many other things more than just, DeFi. So I think the big push also comes from the community and the developers, especially when we talk about decentralization and privacy. So I think that's gonna, no matter where the market is, that piece is gonna keep developing. I think we are on time. Yeah, perfect. So then we just keep the mic. Thank you very much, everyone. Was a wonderful panel. Thank you.